What is your why?
So my why is basically the Kobe Bryant. One name in particular, I'm just very happy that I saw him play live. I was staying up at night at my parents' house until 3, 4 in the morning just to watch him play, and it's an unbelievable feeling to watch that guy play and to see how much he loved basketball. In the same way I wanted to love basketball. So that's my why.
What kind of things? Speaking of Kobe, what kind of things did you take from him, or what kind of things? How did he inspire you to be as good and as passionate as you are about the game?
It's many things, of course. When you saw Kobe Bryant play, many things like skills, shooting, like leadership on the court. But one thing in particular is like that winning mentality, that he had. No matter what, he wanted to win. He wanted to be the best. He wanted to be the greatest. So that's one thing that it stood out for me from him. It's even though I met him only once, in our game when I was in Brooklyn. But that moment I will never forget for the rest of my life.
What has the game given you thus far? But at your early age, what has the game given you?
A lot. Just first of all, to take care of my family, to be happy about the game. There's no better feeling when you come out in a full crowd gym, and you score a basket and you make a good defense and you pump up with your teammates. It's really a special feeling for me, and I just love the game. And it's not even about the fame, not about money. Just like even if I wasn't this professional basketball player, I would still play basketball in front of my building. So that's, for me, basketball is only love.
At your young age again, what are some of the sacrifices you've had to make currently and had to make to get to where you currently are and where you aspire to get to?
Yeah, one thing is on top of the list. I had to leave my home when I was 11. Leave my parents, leave my brother. And that was probably the toughest moment in my life. I had to go live in the capital city of my country, all by myself. And in terms of chasing the dream of basketball, and that's something that helped me a lot, just to mature as a person, as a basketball player, to know what I want to become. And today, living my dream, it's something special for me.
How was that decision? How did that decision come about between you and your family?
For my mother, it was the worst, for her little baby to go out of the house, out of the home, and not be able to see him throughout the month, maybe, and so on. It was very tough for me and my family. Of course, as you said, it's a lot of risk in terms of will you succeed, will you not? There's school too. You gotta make your exams and everything. But in terms of, I was practicing 5-6 hours a day to become where I'm at today. But as I said before, that thing that I left my home at 11 and took that risk show how much I'm passionate about basketball. Not, as you said, not many basketball players did that. And I feel like I owe to myself, because I didn't have childhood. For example, I didn't play with my friends. I was only in the basketball court, trying to develop my game as high as possible. And right now I'm very satisfied in where I am right now.
Yeah, after you left, and then, the U16 championship, European champion, you become MVP in front of about 50,000 fans. It's your country's first team medal of any kind. At that age, what goes through your head, and how do you remain humble through this entire experience?
Yeah, first of all, that was one of the biggest moments in my life, standing in front of 50,000 people, and your people, in your country, to make them feel joy. And for my country, which we're a very small country, and not so many years we don't have before us, but one thing that is certain to me, that that day will always stay in my memory. And especially from that day, it's a lot of expectations from you, a lot of stuff that you gotta, let's say, acknowledge around you, to stay humble. My family especially helped me a lot, because my dad is a soldier. So, in my household, it was always strict. Always, you gotta be humble. Everything in life can change so fast, and one day you're on top, the other day you're on the bottom. So, as I said, it's very it's very tough journey, but I'm very humbled and I'm very thankful for my family and my friends who kept me humble.
Yeah, I mean, even in that same year, you make a EuroLeague debut, and do you remember your first game against Spanolis?
Yeah, that's
a humbling experience, maybe.
Unbelievable.
How did that go about?
I was starting lineup because coach told me to, you're gonna start, you're gonna make your debut against Panolis, and we were in a line, we were shaking hands with the other team, and when I started to shake hands with Panolis, my hands were shaking. So it was a very special moment for me, and especially that it was 0-0. I grabbed the offensive rebound, scored a basket. So that was everything was like a dream come true for me, And in that moment, playing against one of the greatest players who ever played in Europe, if not the greatest, it helped me a lot to encourage myself to continue and to show myself that I'm on the right path.
A couple more years of success in EuroLeague at a young age. You then made the decision to go to the NBA. You were a first-round pick. Looking back at that, how did that decision again come about? Did you feel you've done everything you could in Europe at that moment at your age, and you wanted another challenge? I mean.
Yeah, what's the thing? I was rising star of EuroCup that year. I was top scorer of my team in the Adriatic League. I was the top 5 in the Adriatic League. So I was thinking to myself, it's time for the next step. But obviously, it wasn't that easy as I thought to come there and to play straight away. You wanted to translate your game from Europe to the NBA, but that's not how it goes, And I was sent into the G League. I was grinding my way out, but everything happens for a reason. I think that even that experience, to play alongside KD, Kyrie, and those guys, helped me a lot. And then this month and a half, 2 months that I was in Detroit, I was be able to speak with Derrick Rose, to be with Blake Griffin. So it was. In my career, as you said, I'm very young, 23 years old, but I had a lot of experience, playing with those guys, playing against LeBron James. You're playing against LeBron James in front of Kobe Bryant. So it's unbelievable stuff, and I'm very, 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 very satisfied so far what I've done in my career.
Yeah, I mean, and just like I said, so far, how does one manage the expectations you have upon yourself? Not just yourself, but your family, your friends, your country. You have media. How do you manage all the noise that goes around your name? Because now you're a Spanish MVP, you're dominating EuroLeague. It's only normal for those bigger teams across the pond to start knocking and calling again. How do you manage all that?
I'm just trying not to make the mistakes that I did before. I'm trying to stay, as you said, I'm trying to stay humble. I'm trying to stay in the gym as much as possible. I'm just trying to think about basketball. I think before I think about a lot of different things, not just basketball. Of course, basketball is always priority. But before, when you're younger, you're thinking about much more things than just the basketball. But right now, only in my head is basketball. And I think that that's the point, that maturity that I did in these years, and I'm hoping to make the right decisions right now.
So how does that feel, especially on the roster you have here at Real, where you have very seasoned players with huge resumes who, how do you find your way amongst those quote unquote giants?
Yeah, first of all, I'm very thankful to have those teammates, because they know what I'm capable of doing, and they help me do it. They're not teammates, who look for themselves. We're not the team who are looking at the individual stats, but if you say, everybody knows what they're doing. If you're defending, you're defending. If you're scorer, blocking shots. But we have everything set up in our team, and I might be the scorer of the team. So I'm very, very happy to have those legends like Sergio 1-2 and Rudy 2 and so many guys. Not to name them, not to forget anybody, but it's unbelievable feeling to just share the locker room with them and win games, lose games, but to do it with them, it's a special feeling.
Yeah, also going a little bit more on your teammates, and what does it mean to be wearing the Real Madrid jersey? That's a club that's known worldwide. Nobody from a small city in America to China, they know of Real Madrid. So how does it feel to wear that jersey, and is there any pressure? Do you feel any pressure wearing that jersey?
It's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. obviously you're in the capital of Spain, of one of the best countries in the world, and to where, as you said, everybody knows and everybody follows Real Madrid, whether it's football or basketball. But I wouldn't call it pressure. That's a pressure more about yourself, because if you're capable of doing that in this jersey, you can do whatever you want. It's very special feeling to wear a white jersey every night, and to represent so many people who are your fans, and the full gym. Obviously, we have so many games in the season, and they're supporting us. And to be able to walk around Madrid and people recognize you, and congratulate you on a good game, and it's really special feeling for me.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a little earlier that you didn't really have a childhood because, you went to pursue your dream at a very, very young age. And then at 16, you get thrust into stardom. And now at tender age of 23, you're, an MVP, NBA player, caliber. Like, what do you do to decompress and, like, allow yourself to, like, absorb it all, but also, like, give yourself time? Like, what are your...
I feel like I made it full circle, from Adriatic League to EuroLeague to EuroCup to NBA, and now I'm back to EuroLeague. So I've seen it all, and I feel like that helped me a lot to just now to be normal, to be on the ground, because I've experienced it all. As I said, from Adriatic League, from Croatian League, from playing in front of the 50 people to playing in Shanghai, for example, in China games against Lakers in front of 40,000 people. So it's a big difference, but I'm very glad that I experienced it all, and not to mention playing against all of those guys. Right now it helped me a lot to just, as you said, decompose and to be on the ground and look at things differently and look with much less space, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, also speaking of pressure, do you ever get a moment where you feel pressure, and how do you center yourself in those moments?
Of course. Every time before the game, I feel scared. I feel scared, especially because everybody's watching. You're trying to go out there. You know that you're capable of, but you're scared. Of course, whoever basketball player says that they're not scared before the game, they're lying. So it's like, but when I'm scared, I do the things. Even when you're scared, you gotta do things the way you want it. So even when you're scared, you gotta take the shot. Even when you're scared, you gotta make the team play and everything. So, I'm embracing that thing of pressure. Pressure is the most beautiful thing in the world. When you feel pressure, you're doing something good. So I love being under pressure.
What kind of advice? I don't know if you do any kind of mentorships or anything for younger players. I mean, younger, but what would you tell to a younger, up and coming player of how to stay focused and like the things that you did to continue your career? I mean, even like we said, there's ups and downs in any career. Like, what kind of advice would you give to younger players about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, when you look at my career, you see a lot of ups and downs, from Brooklyn Nets to in 2 years to Breogán in small city in Spain, now to Real Madrid. That's real term of ups and downs. And I want to know. And I want to say to all of the guys that are upcoming, to never give up on their dreams, because you never know what's around the corner, what's good for you. No matter what the pressure and no matter what the opportunity is, you got to take it, you got to embrace it, and at the end of the day, the reward will come. You got to stay true to the basketball, true to yourself, and as a person, you got to grow every day. And I'm sure that everybody who does that it will go to the top.
What would be some goals that you've set for yourself before it's all said and done, before you hang up your shoes?
Yeah. First of all, when you say it like that, it's very far away from me in my head. But I wanted for people to remember me as the guy who loved basketball and as the guy who inspired the next generation, basketball players, alongside all the titles that I won, of course, but like, in my head, I just want to inspire the others, to play basketball. And when I see the guys, because I'm building the courts in my country, when I see the guys playing on my court, happy, it makes me very happy, and me and my family, when they walk around, my hometown, and they see all the guys wearing my jersey, it's a special feeling for me, for real.
You have the end of this year coming actually pretty soon. EuroLeague playoffs are coming up and things of that nature. What do you think it's going to take for you guys to win a championship?
So it's all about the team chemistry, you know. I think that when the time comes of the playoffs and Copa del Rey and everything, you know, it's all about the details. So the team needs to be focused on the details, and the team chemistry will help a lot during that period. So I hope that we will be ready when the time comes.
How did your family and your upbringing and your father being a soldier and things like that, how did that impact the man that you are today and the man that you're going to continue to be going forward?
I think the family is the most important thing in life, you know, besides basketball, besides all the things that happen in life, the most important thing is family, you know. When you have a healthy family, when you have a supportive family like I have, thank God, everything is possible, you know. When you're on your lower lows, you know, they're there to pick you up, you know, to say that everything is okay, that everything is going to be all right. You know, I have my brother who was playing basketball too. He was in junior national team in my country. So it's something that basketball is run through our veins, you know, and especially in my country, which is very small, but like we're very passionate about it, and my family also. So it's something that, you know, I think when you see the man, you know, how he talks, how he behaves, it all comes from family, you know. So I'm very proud of what kind of family I have. And I hope they live as long as possible to see my all success and to be there with my lows and highs as well. I'm Dzanan Musa, and this is my why.